It's a shift, I know. I'm sure you're like, Iman, we were expecting Red Queen Part 2, or where is that Once Upon a Broken Heart rant you've been dodging? Why are we talking about a 200-year-old book? Where are the fairies, the magic, the betrayals, the word-ending stakes? And to that I say, trust me, my friend. Because believe me, nobody, and I mean nobody, writes men like Jane Austen. By the end of her books, you're questioned so hard and your bar is raised so high, these modern men start to feel like immature boys. Hey everyone, if you're new here, welcome, and if you've been here since the Faeries and Betrayals, welcome back. My name is Iman, I'm a 21-year-old medical student from Tunisia, and I'm way too opinionated for my own good. This channel is my outlet. This is Pride and Prejudice GenZfied. Mr. Bingley rolls into town like the Regency version of a walking green flag. He is charming, wealthy, and polite, basically mother approved. Every woman in town has clocked him, and every mother is sharpening her matchmaking claws. Enter Mr. Darcy. He is richer, prettier, moodier, and apparently allergic to basic social decency. He accompanied Mr. Bingley to his new estate at Netherfield. During the party, he looks at our Elizabeth and says to his friend, "She is tolerable, but not handsome enough to tempt me." Ouch. And just to dig the hole deeper, he says there isn't a woman in this room whom it would not be a punishment for me to dance with. What? You might be thinking, Iman, come on. You said these men are worth switching genres for. What are you talking about? And to that I say, just wait and see. Mr. Darcy is reserved. He isn't very trusting of people. Sure, his comments are rude and uncalled for, but his very disposition is intriguing and valid. I don't trust someone who sees kindness and good faith in everyone, like Mr. Bingley, not because they're fake, but because naivety can blur judgment. You already know how I feel about guys who don't think things through. I made that clear when talking about Tamlin with my Actar series and Maven with the Red Queen video. Mr. Darcy, despite his previous remarks, has begun to admire Miss Elizabeth. Not for her astounding beauty and incredible accomplishments, because, to be honest, she has neither, but because he listened to her conversations, he got to know her mind. And that might be the most realistic portrayal of the early stages of love I've ever seen. We used to eyes meet across the room, boom, love. Or worse, we're soulmates after 2 conversations. In Pride and Prejudice, we meet a new kind of love, quiet, steady love. The one that acknowledges imperfections and the fact that we're filled with flaws. We meet the I love you in spite of sentiment, which is not the most fairy tale-esque type. It is not the kind that keeps you awake at night and gives you butterflies, but it is the kind that makes you finally sleep. It's the one that brings you peace and security. I think that's why I needed this book. I love fantasy, I'll always love it. But sometimes it's good to come back down to earth and to be reminded of what realistic love actually looks like. No matter how much we fangirl over Warner from the Shadow Me series, Rysand from Akamov, or Cal from Red Queen, we've got to remember that those men, I hate to break it to you, don't exist in real life. And when that kind of love does happen, the obsessive larger-than-life kind, it almost always crosses over to toxicity. You know, when I sit with my girlfriends and with my mom and we talk boys as girls do, I always say, I don't want a man who sees me as a goddess. Doesn't that feel like too much pressure to you? Social media pushes the idea of, oh, he must worship you. And I'm like, no thank you, I'm good. We only worship God in this household. Moving on, I want to highlight a very important and unwillingly funny character in this story. Mr. Bennet, Elizabeth and Jane's father. I have never seen a father with this much honesty and clarity. The man sees his children in a very realistic lens. It makes me wonder if he was inspired by Jane Austen's own father. He reminds me again of realistic love. Parents often see their children as perfect creatures who can do no wrong, especially with the rise of gentle parenting. Our generation, I feel, tries to overcorrect the mistakes of our parents, which makes us fall into that trap. Mr. Bennet hilariously points out the flaws of his daughters, like when he said, "If my children are silly, I must hope to be always sensible of it." And the man got jokes. That Kitty has no discretion and her coughs, she times them ill line, cracked me up. He is a star of his own. He reminds me of my own parents. I know they love me greatly and I'm very blessed to have them in my life. But I can always rely on them to call me out when I'm being irrational or insensible. They don't think I'm perfect and I don't think they're flawless. And again, that relieves pressure and allows us to be ourselves because we know we're loved in spite of our imperfections. Now back to our story, because I know you're not here just for the deep analysis part, but you're craving some good old storytelling as well. And honestly, so am I. The Queen of Matchmaking, aka Mrs. Bennet, sends her beloved Jane to Mr. Bingley's home on horseback after she was invited for dinner. Why is that brilliant planning, you might ask? Well, she saw the rain coming and thought if her daughter went with that carriage, she would have to stay the night. Unfortunately, Miss Jane falls ill. She gets a cold. And that's when Miss Elizabeth decides to walk 3 miles in a dress in the mud to take care of her sister. Tell me that's not top-tier sisterly love and total disregard for social norms. And Mr. Darcy, oh yeah, he noticed. And boy oh boy, Regency women take passive aggressiveness to a whole new level. They add a little class to it. They make the conversation so funny. Like when Lizzie said to Mr. Darcy that she never met a woman as accomplished as he described, while side-eyeing Mrs. Hurst and Miss Bingley. Mrs. Bennet is just plain aggressive. No passivity is found there. While talking about Charlotte Lucas, Elizabeth's friend, she mentioned not once, not twice, but thrice how plain-looking she is. The woman has no filter. In real life, I'd hate to be her friend or in the same room as her, but reading this book, she makes me smile so much. Miss Bennet, Lizzie, is someone who prides herself on understanding people and their intentions. She takes pleasure in dissecting their personalities and observing every little gesture. Which reminds me of myself a little bit, but I'm not at the start of this video, so I'll leave it at that. And yet, she overlooks Mr. Darcy's calm demeanour and good sense and focuses on his pride. She acts with a certain prejudice towards him, which reminds me of the title, Pride and Prejudice. It's like Jane Austen said, Elizabeth and Darcy in a nutshell. She takes Mr. Wickham's side, an officer she just met, when he claims that Mr. Darcy robbed him of his inheritance out of jealousy. Elizabeth is determined to dislike Mr. Darcy and is clinging to every bit that reinforces their sentiment. I'm just glad Jane saw some sense in the matter and urged her sister to question Mr. Wickham, but Elizabeth was not to be deterred. Well, in the midst of the chaos, the drama with Mr. Darcy, Elizabeth's new inclination towards Mr. Wickham, Mr. Collins, the cousin who is set to inherit Mr. Bennet's estate when he passes, comes for a visit. And he is eyeing a certain Miss Bennet. He proposes to Elizabeth and asks for her hand in marriage. Our girl Lizzie is like, "Sir, slow down, what are you saying? Like, ew, no." She says it in her classy, polite way, but I took the liberty to paraphrase. Mr. Collins doesn't get the hint and is like, well, you know, polite, classy girls such as yourself are inclined to decline a suitor once or twice, even though they wish for it to happen, you know, to seem coy and all. And I'm like, sir, are we talking about the same girl? Elizabeth, coy. The girl can't hide her thoughts and feelings even if her life depended on it. She's like, sir, I am begging you. No is no, I mean it. And he replies with, oh, poor shy thing, I don't believe you, little girl. It is custom for your sex to reject a man on his first application. What? Mr. Collins is cray-cray. He takes Delulu to a whole different realm. Like, what are you saying, sir? Mrs. Bennet is like, now, dear child, you're not going to ruin this for me. I mean for you. Despite Mr. Collins' lack of intellectual superiority. That's only because Mrs. Bennet sees beauty as the only mode of importance for her daughters. But Mr. Bennet is not going to let his precious, brilliant daughter marry a dull man. He says, you've got a problem, Miss Lizzie. If you don't marry Mr. Collins, your mother will never see you again. But if you do, I will never see you again. Mic drop. Say it louder for the people in the back. That's a good father. Mr. Collins instead settles for his third best option, Charlotte Lucas, Elizabeth's friend. Yikes. And that's how the first volume of this brilliant book ends. And that just about concludes my rant for today. You didn't think that was all I had for Pride and Prejudice now, did you? Oh, okay. I'm relieved, because we'll be back with a part 2 next Sunday. Tell me, are you enjoying this Gen Z makeover of Pride and Prejudice? What do we think of Mr. Darcy? Leave your comments below. I want to hear all about it. And stay tuned for next week's video. I'll see you next time. Assalamu alaikum. Bye.